So finally, and this is the final bit, you'd be glad to hear, what does it all mean? Okay, this is my life, the universe, and everything slide. We know that everything is energy. Okay, E equals mc squared, Einstein, it's all about energy. But Amit Goswami and others are saying, well, there's more than energy, it's information. You know, it's fine saying that this mouse here is energy, but it's information mapped onto energy. Somebody's put information onto the energy to make it into that shape. It didn't just happen that way. So it's all about information and energy. And when information is mapped onto energy, that creates the physical things that are our created universe. Our entire universe is made up of information and energy. Information mapped onto energy. So in order to make this glass, somebody had to map information onto that energy. In order to make this box, somebody had to map information onto the energy to give it that shape. But if you take that a step further, there are things in our world that we didn't create, that are here, that have physical form and look created, but we didn't do it. So the implications are that there's some form of consciousness that exists outside of our created universe, but that is constantly interacting with it, because it's the conscious intention. Conscious intention is needed to map information onto energy. It doesn't just happen. Something has to decide where the information has to go. So I call this the quantum trinity. You know, this is my model for understanding why and how consciousness can exist outside of our physical universe. Why consciousness can access multiple dimensions that don't exist within this particular universe. And this is the most succinct and complete map that I can come up with that allows me to integrate quantum physics and psychology and philosophy into one kind of unified model. And I suppose somebody's going to tell me there's a book in there. I'm sure there is. One of these days, next Saturday, I'll get around to writing it. So the final question then is, you know, WIIFM, the loudest radio station in the world. WIIFM is what's in it for me. Well, you know, we're all quite familiar with the poor Calvin here saying, I can't imagine mastering the skills involved here without a clearer understanding of who's going to be impressed. You know, most of us do things to try and impress other people. What's in it for Calvin? Nothing. But what's in it for us? What's in it for us is that we exist within a universe of information and energy that seems to be infinite and limitless. We explore. We go out exploring fields of information. We go out exploring, looking for things that nobody's found before, nobody knows how to find. And we are constantly accessing and mapping information from energy fields using our conscious intention. That's what we do as remote viewers. We are explorers of this field of information and energy that exists around us and within us. And we are these fields of information. And we are these fields of information within this unbelievably expansive wealth of information and knowledge that's out there. So the reason we do remote viewing is to discover what are you truly capable of. You know, where are the limits? Are there any limits? I don't think that there are. I think we have enormous capacity. We have enormous skill and talent. And it's our duty to share it and to explore it and to learn it and to pass it on, because I would hate to see this missing the next generation. So that's my presentation for this evening. As I said on there, my email address is up. Email me, I'll email you back a PDF of the presentation. I'd gladly share it with anybody that would like it. I hope you found that useful. And Teresa, if you're there, I'd like to
I'm here.
pass back over to you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Paul. We had a pretty full house, 17, 18 people here for a while. A few texted me that they needed to go because they needed to do a few errands or what have you. But I'm getting many messages in my private chat window thanking you. And we do have a couple of questions, and I did copy paste them. Let me just see if...
I haven't seen any coming up in the Q&A box.
Actually, I asked everyone to hold them until after your presentation, but let me see if I can copy a couple back in to save them from retyping. Here we go. Here is a question early on from Deborah. It was about your mapping. There you go. This was from the very beginning of your presentation. How important really are these exact physical spots? Can this work without tapping those particular spots? Could this work if you ask the person where you feel the tension, then tap that spot? Perhaps that would be more effective for some people.
Okay, there are two parts to the question and two answers. In terms of the points, the points we're tapping on are acupressure points. They're points where the energy meridians come closest to the surface of the skin. So when you tap on them, there is actually what's called a piezoelectric effect. By tapping on these points, it creates an electrical stimulus within the body. But what we found is that while some people got very focused on tapping the exact points, the intention behind the process was much more important. The intention to tap those points was informing the biofield as to what it was you wanted to happen. We've even done it where people have worked on each other without physically touching each other, but just simply pointed at the acupressure points and said, we're tapping there, we're tapping there, we're tapping there, we're tapping there, and the person has still got the benefit. So that's the first part. In relation to working with physical sensations in the body, rather than tapping them, I would simply ask the person to ask the sensation, what does it need? Because there's a fantastic process called guided self-healing developed by a psychologist called Dr. Andy Hahn in Boston, which works with body sensations. It's a somatic technique where you create a dialogue between the person and the physical sensation. You get them to amplify it and talk to it. And they get information back, which is the remarkable thing. They even get visual information back from the physical sensation. They even experience images like a video running through their head, where the history of this physical sensation, in whatever way it's related to the holographic universe within which we exist, seems to be able to give information, and by giving the information, it heals itself. So I hope that answers Deborah's question.
Everybody, please feel free to be texting in your questions into the chat area. Here's another question. Lance needed to go, but he's looking forward to, as many people are, looking forward to getting a recording of this. But here is his question. He's talking about remote viewing, and at the bottom of his statement here, the actual question, and I'll read this: the struggle with time continues. When we RV, it's been most notable to me that we can't always know about time. Sometimes I find looking for a missing dog, child, or object, I can see stages or aspects through time and not know where they are in our current time. Conscious, linear, versus subconscious. Any ideas on how to use this problem to resolve the time issue, communication between the conscious and subconscious?
Well, again, the problem is that the subconscious doesn't do time. It treats time as another dimension. You can tell the subconscious to move 10 years or move 10 yards, and it'll do it. It doesn't differentiate between them. So one of the best things I've found are the advanced tools that Lynn teaches in his course, where we work with graphical timelines. We create a timeline on a piece of paper. It's a combination of timelines and dowsing to try to identify specific moments in time. Because again, we're trying to get a communication going between the subconscious that doesn't do time and the conscious that's trying to identify time to see where does this event fit into a whole other sequence of events. I've no real answer for that one. I mean, that's the constant challenge as a viewer. Is I suppose it might come into the task, not the tasking, into the cueing. You know, constantly cue yourself to move to the time of the event, or move to the time of the, some specific action or whatever it is. It may seem to be in the cueing that you give yourself, where you say to your subconscious exactly where you want to go, and be very specific about where you want to go. And then move backwards and forwards from that anchor point. But it's like following a piece of string. Tie the end of the string to something, walk out there, but remember how to find your way back. Keep track through your cueing as to whether you're moving backwards in time, forwards in time, back to present time, sideways in time, whatever it is you're doing. So it's part of the discipline of the protocol. It's what the conscious mind is really good at. It's that linear, rational, organizational processes of keeping track and keeping record. That's its job. So make sure that it does that job effectively so the subconscious can do its job most effectively and give you information at each of the anchor points where you land looking for that information. Okay.
I have taken the liberty. Lynn swore he was not going to step all over everyone's presentations because it's our thing that we're doing here. And Gary is thanking you in the chat window privately. But I've taken the liberty of moving Lynn into the panelist section, and
Yep.
I will go ahead and give him a mic. I am going to try. I know. At least I just tried to. And
he's got his mic muted.
Uh-huh. I can't. There, I just unmuted and passed him a mic. Leonard, are you with us?
Can you hear me?
Oh, we can hear you now.
Okay. Hi, I'm here to listen and learn.
Hi, Lynn.
From a very knowledgeable person about this, by the way. Howdy.
Hi, Lynn.
So I didn't want to just come barging in, but I did put that, how do you get to the present time?
Yeah.
Very simply, move to the present time and describe.
Yeah.
In CRV and in most work, the simplest answer is almost always the right one. And you were right. Simple cueing.
Yeah.
Simple cueing will do it. You just have to let the subconscious know what you want it to do.
Yeah, it's so easy to complicate.
Yeah.
Things.
And it's your presentation. I'm here to listen and learn.
Thanks, Lynn. Well, thank you.
And by the way, it's a great presentation, and I have learned quite a bit. I'm going to be trying the TAT and the EFT method. When I do sessions, to see how it works and see how well it helps me get rid of stray cats and castles and all that. So I'm going to be trying this.
I'd be really curious to see how you get on. I mean, I've no scientific data to back up any of this. All I have is the experience of putting it into practice.
Well,
I don't have the database results to show, but it's my subjective experience.
Do you mean you're not documenting and databasing? Slap the back of your hand.
Here come the wet noodles.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good presentation.
Subjective experience. Thank you, Lynn.
Yeah.
I thought that personally I wanted you to hear that because it has been an excellent presentation. You've given us a lot of information in a lot of areas, And that's just it. It's all cross science. People who are interested in various areas of medicine, healing, people, they could all benefit from listening to you. And so that's why I'm glad we're capturing this, and the record button has been on, so hopefully it will be there to share an audio file, and as well as, I know your PowerPoint presentation you were going to offer to everyone. So,
Teresa, can I just show you one very quick thing before I finish?
You certainly may.
In the presentation, there's a bunch of resources.
Uh-huh.
For those that want more science, there are brain images of before and after using energy psychology techniques. There is an actual photographic, dark microscope photographic evidence of literally changes in blood cells within minutes of using EFT. This was a particular case of rouleau, where blood cells clump together. And somebody used the technique and took blood samples, and they couldn't believe the difference, how fast the change took place in the blood sample. And then finally, there is a more, what would you say, scientific report there to look up. And then finally, I've got some suggested reading, books, websites, and what else have we got there? Yeah, just books and websites to look up that will give information on this field and organizations that are involved in it, which hopefully people will find useful.
Well, that's very important because, as you said, a lot of places, unless it's been peer-reviewed or published scientifically, there's no validation, and that's a great concern for people.
Well, the biggest organization in the field in the U.S. is it's the Association for Comprehensive Energy Psychology, ACEP, ACEP. They are the umbrella organization, and people like Donna Eden, David Feinstein, David Gruder, Sandy Widomski. There's some amazing people in the field who are part of that organization, and they are pushing for peer-reviewed work. They're trying to get it accepted by the American Psychological Association, and they're constantly looking to get their conferences approved. The next conference, I think, is in early June, and again, you'll find it on their website. But you see some amazing speakers there, and some fantastic work being done in this field, particularly in the field of PTSD. Working with war trauma out in the field, and also back home with survivors of physical disasters, and also natural disasters, and of physical trauma and combat. So and the beauty of it is you can teach this to kids. It doesn't cost anything. The tools are there at the ends of your fingers, and the results are instant.
Thank you again, Paul.
You're very welcome.
I didn't want to step on you there. Anybody else have any more questions for Paul? And for some reason, everybody is thanking me privately instead of all attendees. But most everyone who has been here today has issued a thank you.
Well, thank you all. I really appreciate you giving me your time to sit in on this, because I know it's quite a commitment on a Saturday to give over 2 hours.
Yeah.
But I really do. I love sharing this, and I hope that you find it useful. I'll be at the conference in Las Vegas in June, and then I'm going on to do I'm doing the medical applications, and then going back to Alamogordo with Lynn to retake intermediate again. So if anybody is at the conference, grab me. I'll run you through a demo, and any questions you have, or email me. I'll be quite happy to engage with anybody that has any questions.
And the conference that Paul is referring to is the International Remote Viewers Conference in Las Vegas at the end of June. Well, with that, I think we probably should go ahead and call it a day. Thanks, everyone. I agree that Saturdays are a challenge, but with Paul being in Ireland, and we're trying to find a time for both, as many time zones as possible, which is a challenge. So we thank you again for your time, Paul, for your sharing of all of your knowledge, and for everyone who has chosen to be with us today. We hope you enjoyed it, and look forward to checking back with Aesthetic Impact Informational Services. We have more speakers lined up. We're working on dates and times as we speak.
Thank you, Teresa.
Thank
Thank you,
Paul.
everybody.